thank you everyone for joining tonight. I'm Diogo. I'm one of the co-founders of the Nocodeklub. I have with me Pierre-Yves, one of the other co-founders, and Dennis over there. That's been the responsible for organizing this event. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us. For the ones that are here for the first time, we do this event once a month, always rotating between different places in Berlin. So we really would like to thank K.I.E.Z and Merantix AI for having us tonight here. So our idea with this event is always to share more about how companies have been using tools like AI, low code, and automation to grow their businesses. So the main idea is to share the success stories and the insights that people like Florian, and also thank you, Florian, for being here tonight, that, yeah, they can share their story with our attendees, and we all can learn a little bit more. So I'll pass the mic on to Doris, who's going to introduce us a little bit to K.I.E.Z and what they do.
Thank you so much. Also, thank you from my side for being here today. It's great to do a partnership with the Nocodeklub today. I will present you briefly who we are. We'll try to keep it short. Maybe some of you already heard of K.I.E.Z, which is the Künstliche Intelligenz Entrepreneurship Zentrum, Artificial Intelligence Entrepreneurship Center. We started in 2021. We are publicly funded by the BMWK, and we support AI startups from the very early stage until the accelerator. We focus very much on science-based startups, and that's the reason why we also collaborate with the universities in Berlin. Here you can see we are cooperating with the science and startups. We are actually part of that. And if you are not familiar with science and startups, it's the organization of the incubators of Freie Universität Humboldt and TU Berlin. And we also cooperate together with the Charité and the Berlin Institute of Health. K.I.E.Z, as you might understand from the name, is focusing on AI. So indeed, we are supporting AI startups in all the verticals. So the main point is that they are developing a product having AI as a core element. And also we are now expanding, because before we were working more on a regional basis. So for example, K.I.E.Z was very much focusing on the startups based in Berlin and surroundings, and Munich as well, but of course in the region of Munich. But right now, indeed, we decided to put together our forces and create AI Nation, which is a new project that we launched at Bits and Brezel end of 2024. So it's pretty fresh. And the reason behind is that during this year supporting our team, so we noticed that, of course, having a bigger ecosystem to support startups is very important. So it's essential that they get the right visibility, they get connected with the experts in the AI sector, also more universities. And that's why also the partners in Munich have a great cooperation with the universities there, like TU München. Just to give you an idea of what is the offering that we have, as mentioned before, we support startups from different stages. We start from the very early stage with the ideation and matchmaking. We are currently developing a new format, which is called the pool. You can also find a website on that. It was already implemented in Munich and will be also in other regions. And as mentioned, also in Berlin at the end of June. So there is already actually a waiting list to participate in that. And that's basically a matchmaking event, putting together experts in different backgrounds and also in AI. And also PhDs, researchers, and the aim is to create more ideas of potential AI startups. So that's a great format to start something in the field of AI. And afterwards, we have also programs for the validation. So I'm a program manager of Bridge to Market, which is the very early stage program for indeed startups in the AI field. And a prototype funding program is a similar one that they have in Munich. And the idea is that after the end of the program, teams are formed enough to then apply to the next phase, which is the incubation phase, and ideally the K.I.E.Z program, since we are also funded by the same people. And during the K.I.E.Z program, generally, startups incorporate as a legal entity, so then they can access our accelerator. So we have also around here teams from the accelerator, alumni as well. And here in this slide, you can see, for example, some of the accelerator teams that have been previously in the previous batches at K.I.E.Z, or also some that are in current batches. So we have 6 startups per batch, and we have 2 batches per year at the moment. Same story for Bridge to Market, although for Bridge to Market, we aim to have about 12 teams because we are working with AI Nation, so enlarging the pool of AI startups. You maybe know some of these people, but of course, if you are interested in knowing more about our programs and maybe also planning to start an AI startups yourself, you can reach us out. We have different channels, LinkedIn, our website, and so on. Or you can also drop me an email. Here you can see my email address. We also actually have all these channels with the AI Nation. So as mentioned, they are pretty fresh because we started some months ago. But please feel free to follow us also in the AI Nation channels. And that's it from my side. I will hand it over to Merantix, that will also present what they are doing here at the campus. And thank you so much. Enjoy the event.
Thank you very much for the intro. I'll leave it short because I know everyone's waiting for the event to start. My name is Kazuna. I'm the Partnerships and Growth Manager here on AI Campus. As many of you might know, AI Campus is one of the initiatives of Merantix to focus on the community building aspect. And to those that don't know, Merantix has different initiatives. We have Merantix Capital that invests and builds different startups specifically in the AI space. We have Momentum, which is over there, that provides services to mainly enterprises, building, consulting on different cases related to AI. We are one of the founding partners of the AI House in Davos, and we're recently opening our AI London hub in London. So if any of you stop by London, feel free to let us know so that we can connect you to our team there. And yes, there you can see my lovely colleague, Arancha. She is in charge of events and marketing. So if you have any questions about Merantix, about the campus, we'll be here throughout the day in this event, so let us know. Thank you.
Awesome. So without further ado, let's get into the chat of tonight. So Florian, thank you very much for joining us tonight, being our guest. Before we get into the conversation, I want to get a feeling of who we have tonight in the audience. So who here has a background in software engineering and or data science? All right, so I need to be careful about what I say. I'll let you do talking then. Who was in the company? Who was in the company building technical infrastructure around AI for AI? Okay. Who worked in the company building functional capabilities on top of AI? All right. And then who has implemented AI in their business processes in the last 6 months? All right, so we have a pioneer in the room. Super nice. All right, so Florian, usually the way we start this is we start with a couple of really quick questions asking about your background, who you are. So basically, what I would like to know is what's your background? What do you guys do at Jina? If you can share a few information about the company, what's your mission, any KPI or figures that you can share, and then why you are here tonight. But I don't want to put you on the spot, so I'm going to start by giving an example for me. So my name is Pierre-Yves, but outside of France, people call me Pierre. I'm one of the co-founders of 9X. I'm a business person. I don't have any tech or data science or computer science background, so please bear with me tonight. I'm going to try to just entertain. And 9X, we are a AI and automation training company, and we do AI and automation enablement for business people. And that's what we focus on, is trying to make sense of the technical concepts and then see which one of these are actually useful for business people and can make the life of the business people or the technical people easier if if us business folks, we understand these, and we try to basically transmit that to people working in organizations. The reason why I'm here tonight is I love to have people like Florian come and explain us, mere mortal, what they're doing. I want to use this opportunity tonight to just also maybe learn some things. There's a lot of things around AI which I don't necessarily have the time to research, so I want to basically use the occasion I have to use or to benefit from people which are smarter than me and from the knowledge to understand a bit better the scope. One thing which is funny about Jina AI and actually how I got into contact with Florian is actually 2 years ago we moved our offices with 9X. We actually came back to the office of a friend of mine who was subleasing us some office space, and I saw a new logo in the building. It was in Paul Nickelhofer. And I saw Jina AI, and I was like, okay, what's this? I go on the websites, and then I literally have like, now it's different, but back then, I looked at the websites, there was not a single word on there I could understand. And then usually it is a very good sign or a very bad sign. Then I look at some of the page, I go down and say offices in Berlin, San Francisco, and China. It's okay, that's a good sign. These guys are just building the future. And eventually, that was my first contact with Jina AI. Fast forward last December, Nikolai, which is a friend of mine, the founder and CEO of Circular, asked me, hey, we want to do this kickoff this year. AI transformation is going to be a big topic for the organization. Do you know people which are in Berlin and which are very smart and good in AI? And I'm like, well, actually, I don't know that many because they're all technical nerds and I don't know them, but there's Jina, which is based in Berlin. You should talk to them. And actually, Nikolai reached out to Florian, and that's actually then Nikolai who told me, yeah, actually, Florian is a great speaker. You should get him to one of your events. So that's how we got to Florian. Long story. Sorry about that. Then Florian, can you tell us a bit more about your background?
Yes, thank you. Thanks for this introduction. Yeah, actually, I prepared something to say why I'm here today, but I changed it now on the fly. Because now I think most important reason is to get all these compliments from him, like how smart and everything. But sometimes I actually also feel very dumb because the field is so rapidly evolving. And yeah, the more you know about certain things, then you more you know that you don't know anything. And then I already spotted some search experts here. So yeah, I think there are also a lot of people who would go to such an event. So probably also a lot of knowledgeable people in the audience. So I studied computer science, and then I went into e-commerce business, worked there on search engine. I created a rhyming app that had like 2.4 million downloads. Biggest rhyming app on Android. Is also search, finding rhymes, finding similar sounding things. And then I realized I was very much focused on all this technology, and I wanted to found my own company, but I didn't know even how to start or to do such things. So I thought I should spend some years at Deloitte, learning a bit more business, how you sell something and all these kind of things, which was good. It was 1.5 years there. It felt like 5 years or so.
That's already a long time.
Yeah, a lot of prototyping. Get like 2 weeks. You have to do something. Here is this augmented reality glasses. Do something with it, and then learning this new programming language and learning here and this and that. And then I had a bit enough of all these rapid changes. I went to SoundCloud. And from there, I then started my own company, which successfully failed. So I managed to shut it down after a year. It was during Corona. This is my excuse why it failed. And also, I was not focusing on any legal perspective. It was a tool for model agencies where you insert an image and then find similar images in the database. And then similar people can go to the same casting and one gets a role and so on. But I didn't focus on any legal things. And soft biometrics, this is something I learned just 8 months or so after going all into this project. So I was very badly prepared. But then Jina came, and Jina did something very similar to this. They invented this term neural search. I mean, this similarity search was there a long time before, and I used something very similar thing where you have this so-called embedding model, insert some data, and then through some layers, it changes its form and outcomes a vector with a very special probability that a very semantically similar data point going through the same network also produces a very similar vector. And then you can find the similarity. You can actually measure similarity between two things, two texts, two images, two everything. And yeah, therefore they were very welcoming me because I was basically doing this for 1 year before. Now they are. There I am. So now 4 or 5, almost 5 years at Jina. I never stayed at the company that long. But over the time, it always changed a bit. Different people. So I have the feeling I worked in many companies during that time because the whole dynamic changes so much when some people on board, off board over time.
4 to 5 years in an AI company is like centuries, no? I mean, this is the first time I actually interact with someone who's doing AI research. And it's the first time that at Nocodeklub was actually someone who, you know, is that technical. I have a question which is burning my tongue. Can you tell us more about what do you do on a daily basis? Like, what is AI research? What do you actually do all day long?
Mm-hmm. So I talk a lot to the CEO, and we try to anticipate where the whole field is evolving. And then we exchange papers and find, I have a channel for insights we're posting, and try to build the next big thing, and also to get a lot of publicity with this, of course. At the end, it's the whole AI race is, of course, at the moment for who can solve the best problems or best solve the problems, and who can beat each other in the benchmark. But by doing this, companies try to get a lot of attention, and then invest a lot of money just to train a nice model, but it's outdated after a few months. But it gives them a bit publicity during that time, and then gives them good argument for investors investing in them because they seem to be very promising. That's what we're aiming for.
Can you share a couple of figures about Jina? How big is the company? I don't know if I should ask how much. Usually we have founders. I ask them, okay, how much money did you raise? What's your growth rate? Maybe I should ask how many parameters is there in your model, or how many benchmark did you win? If you can share with me what's the vanity metrics of the company.
Okay, so we start with the parameters, most important metric. So very tiny. We are considered as a so-called GPU poor company. So very poor in GPUs. We only have 20 to 30 we own ourselves. Therefore, we can only train these tiny models. But the good thing is for search applications, you don't need these big models. And just to give you some idea, it's maybe around 500 million parameters. And then Grok, I think, has like almost 1 million times or 100,000 times more parameters. 100,000 times our model together is in this big model. Because it also has a simpler task to solve. It doesn't need to do all this clever reasoning and combining all the world knowledge to come up with some genius answer. It really needs to place the documents in some latent space at the right position, and therefore make it searchable.
I like it when you try to explain what it does in simpler terms, and I don't understand the simple terms either.
Okay, but then I go straight for the matrix. I only give you a matrix. So we have I think like 100,000 to 1 million users depending on how you count, right? So alone we have 20 million model downloads. So we are a commercial open source. So at the end, what is the user? So yeah, much less paying users, of course. And yeah, for a lot of users, we also don't know what do they do after they downloaded the model.
All right, we'll come back to Jina and what you do in the second step. But first, I wanted to take the opportunity of having someone who knows actually things about AI to look just to get a little benchmark and also to try to understand what's the truth about AI and what's not. If I look back, for example, at 2024, what do you consider the most significant AI breakthrough and developments were last year?
So right now we have always the feeling like it's all these small changes. I mean, what we have now is inference time compute thing, where right.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain that to me.
Okay, so, okay. Okay, so you probably heard that AI models need so many computations, so much money to be trained. And this has some kind of limitation at some point. People discovered also another way of improving the model performance. So it's not during the training time when this model is trained, but when it's actually used, the so-called inference time or test time. And they discovered when they train this model in a specific way that it's good for this test time performance, and it just calculates everything for a bit longer and then comes up with much better result, even though it's a small model and was not trained for so long.
Okay.
So this is, I think, this is surprising. It's a change in the paradigm.
Okay. And if we look in terms of the fundamentals of the technology, I would say more from a business and consumer point of view. So last year, I mean, I don't even remember what we have like GPT-4 come out last year, or was it 2023?
Yeah, so yeah, I think they were developing it even before they published GPT 3.5. So then 2 years at least, or something. 2000.
If I look for me as a user, last year, there was a lot like last year we had a conference and everybody was talking about AI. I have the feeling if we do the conference, which we're going to do this year again, everybody used to talk about LLMs and AI and generative AI, and nowadays everybody's talking about agents. What's the fundamental difference there? Why does the marketing the marketing space change? Is it just because it's fancy? Is there a fundamental difference between what an LLM does and what an agent does? Can you explain a bit more here, like fundamentally what the differences are?
So in research, it's not really defined what an agent is, but most people understand it as you give it a high-level task, and then it solves this task using some tools in a multi-step fashion. And you don't take the responsibility when it finishes. It decides on its own or runs out of budget and then is forced to give an answer. And this is what most people now think of agents. And it's not fundamentally different to what we have had before. It's still what it consists of. It sounds very fancy, such agent, very, very futuristic, but actually it's just a language model, and this language model gets a prompt, like a whole concept we are used to. And this prompt contains like all the possible actions. So the language model can choose from. So it's getting told, here, this is your task you have to solve. You have to find all online shops that sell yellow and black stripes and something, and I describe it in detail. And then here you have the tools you can use for this. You can answer now just the direct answer if you just know from your knowledge, because it's everyone knows like what this backpack is. Or you can write a search term that has to be inserted into a search engine. It's just a simple prompt. And then you wait for a response, and it will answer immediately. It will either tell right away, yeah, this is backpack, everyone knows, or it will give you a search term. And then there's the program where this agent comes into play. The agent is just a program wrapping this. It's just executing the search query, getting results. And now again, asking the language model. This time here, that was my original task. Then I asked you, what is the search term? You gave me the search term. Here are the results. What should I do next? That's really the prompt. And then it answers either, okay, yeah, I mean, it's in the search results. that's the backpack, right? Or it says, oh, that was a bad search term. Maybe I try the other one. And then this goes on in an automated way until finally it responds with, we run out of budget. We don't find this backpack. It's like, it doesn't even exist. Or it answers, yeah, here it is.
All right, so basically an agent is just a combination, like a savant combination of different LLMs to each other. And
yeah, in a simplest way. But then you can also introduce memory, for instance. Okay. So maybe next time it will have an easier time finding this, because it saved this information in some memory.
Okay. And also, if I look at the different evolution of last year, like, is it for us, like consumers, the ability to process, for example, first only text, and then eventually we're able to put images or documents? I know maybe at some time there's going to be videos. Is it fundamentally different to process a text and an image and different kind of input, or actually for a model, is it kind of the same?
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, it's yeah, and it can also lead to some problems. So, for instance, when you want to, you have a text as input, you want to make the model find. Okay, I'm making it too simple. It's not the model finding, but the model creates embedding and so on, like things I created before. You want to find images, just giving text and finding images. There is something called modality gap. So just because these two data points are of different modality, there is a gap, and the model has problems finding them. It will, a lot of cases, just usually say like images are closer to each other just because they are images. And texts are closer to each other just because they're text. And image and text, that's very different, even though if it's the exact description of what you see there. But there are also a lot of ways to overcome this.
Okay. Yeah. And now if we look back to 2025, where we are today, I guess, I don't know, I have the feeling one of the big new thing has been recently DeepSeek, this Chinese model. Have you used it? Have you tried it? How different is it from what we had before? Is it that different or just better? Like what can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so when R1 got released, there was, the world went crazy, and the stock reacted like incredible. And for us, we didn't realize it's such a big thing, because I mean, even before OpenAI released their reasoning models, or they didn't publish them, but they showed it, even a live demo, and then you could use O1 already, and it showed reasoning traces. So for us, it was just like, okay, now open source is catching up with commercial products. It's nice, yeah. And we didn't see this conflict between countries or something, because a lot of Chinese companies publish a lot of very good embedding models. They're leading there now for years. Like, yeah, we work with the Beijing Academy together, and we also know they just good research. It was not really surprising, and I don't think it has like such a huge impact.
Okay, so
But,
it's
yeah.
much more that it was on a person's project that finally caught up with the big budget of commercial projects.
Yeah,
That's
the
the
open,
big-
just open source is now catching up. That's what it shows us.
Okay, and but in terms of number of models or performance, is there like a difference? Is it like one is using a lot of training, and because they have a lot of money, they can actually compute the whole thing, and the other one is just differently built and more lightweight, or is it is that the wrong assessment of the situation?
So what do you mean if so the thing about training costs, right? So what do you mean
My
exactly?
question is R1 and DeepSeek, is it like fundamentally different? Because I think I read that it uses less GPU, and that therefore that's a big change because potentially you don't need as much hardware to work or as much computer power to use the model. Is there a technical breakthrough behind it, or is just okay they just did it a bit differently?
Yeah,
And,
the thing is, yeah, we could say, yeah, it was trained with much less compute and so on, but it is a bit of cheating because they actually distilled reasoning traces for a much larger model from OpenAI. So without the model from OpenAI being there, which was trained on massive compute and a lot of spending, they would have not managed to train this so cheap. They wouldn't have needed another foundation model or create all the training data by themselves.
Okay.
So this, yeah, and so this the training is also very different. So what you have with the traditional training is you have this next token prediction. So you have a text, you give us input, and then you always ask the model, what do you think is the next token or next word that needs to be there in the text? And then it says something totally wrong. And you say, oh no, you're wrong. That's the right one. During that process, it learns how language is formed. So always the difficult task here is to solve what is the next word. But for this new training method, it's actually evaluating just the final result. So in between, it can write whatever it wants. And then at the end, we look at, is this result correct? Whatever method you came up with, I cannot judge. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this should be the next word. Okay, you're right. But then at the end, that must be the final result. Or you can think of like math equation solving is a stepwise, and then at the end there's a result. And then we judge the model by this and give the feedback in a so-called reinforcement learning way. It's a different training method. Yeah.
Okay, super interesting. What are some, maybe one last topic about the state of AI before we move towards Jina? What are some of the common misconceptions that you often hear or see when you are discussing with business people like me who are not don't have a computer science background? What are the main things that you say? Okay, tonight is going to be the moment where I want to set things right.
Finally, thanks for giving me the power. Yeah, so many people think of of language models still as like search engines a bit, where they ask something, some factual information, and expect to get it right. And this is not how it's intended to be. I think, in fact, it's a full waste of training, inserting all this knowledge into language models. They should just use their tools. So to solve any task, like in our daily life, we don't need to have the whole world knowledge in our head. If we would have it, it was just hindering us. We would make a very bad job, I think, like language models do. And then we also overestimate our knowledge and give wrong answers everywhere. So I think knowing a bit less and then having better reasoning capability. So this is how we should always see language model and use them for reasoning tasks. So this is one misconception, I would say.
Yeah, that's very interesting because when we, when we try to use, we use no-code platform to do this, but when we use agent building platforms, that's one thing that we often see is whenever we build something, there's always like on the top of the agent, there's basically one model that is kind of overseeing everything. And in the prompt, in the global instruction that you give to this model, you kind of always have to say, do not answer, like for example, if you wanted to answer based on something, say, okay, here's some knowledge. Do not provide any answer which is not directly inferred from your knowledge.
Yeah.
It is trained on a lot of information that helps it reason. And it's almost like I wish I could only use an LLM for its reasoning capabilities and just somehow say, okay, turn off knowledge. You just, from all that knowledge, you inferred reasoning. And now I just want to use your reasoning capabilities. Only answer based on this text I give it. And it's really interesting that you are observing the same misconception, because eventually that's the advice we give to everybody when we tell them, hey, this is how you should be trying to build this AI agent using no code. Is like you need to actually, it's a restriction problem. It's not. It's a giving context and restricting and trying to make sure actually that the LLM is not trying to give the answer itself, but just use what I give you as an input. So I find this really interesting. Now, what's funny is also you're mentioning that people using LLM for a search engine is one of the biggest problems, and you are working in the company that use AI to actually make search better. So can you explain us how actually this works? What is actually Jina AI doing, and how does this type of search that you are building better than traditional search?
Okay, yeah. So so in traditional search, we start with society, humanity. Start with
Google.
Google, yeah, probably. Start with a keyword matching. So if this term is part of this document, then it's retrieved as good candidate for search results. If it occurs many times, oh, maybe it's even better. Then maybe some words were not useful. Stop words, remove them. All these tricks and synonyms, and only based on this hard matching of terms. Then you sit in front of these search engine and try out different terms. Maybe this one, this one, this one. And then the paradigm changed a bit towards semantic search, thing I explained before, where you have these documents, create the vectors, just compare the vectors, calculate the score, and this says then how similar these sentences are. And now what we can see is not directly this paradigm continuing, like meta or whatever, or hyper search or hyper semantic search or whatever. It's agents. They just use the search engine, whatever search engine, and even the dumbest search engine on world. We might wonder, in a lot of old companies, they still have their search engines, and some of them are very happy with using them because they know how to use them, and they use them for years, and everything works, no problem. It could be better, but the risk of changing everything. So it means even with a very bad search engine, you can find very good results. And when we think of an AI agent just using also old search engines, they could, in theory, also get very good results. They might take a bit longer and try out very different search terms and so on. But with memory, they would also at some point learn how to search for certain things. They would also, like these employees working there for years, they would also learn how to use that search engine. So now we have not like a direct continuation of this from keyword to semantic search, but another dimensionality, this agentic search that can work with all kind of search engines. And at Jina AI, we try to be involved into all of these parts. So starting even from data preparation for search, and then also providing AI models for search engines and re-ranking models and so on. and also agentic search.
Excuse me for a maybe stupid question, but how is that different from the Google deep research feature that we see in Gemini or no?
Yeah,
So in ChatGPT, you have like deep
It's
research.
not different. You have like 6 different use cases in AI. Everyone is building them, and everything is redundant and so on.
Okay.
Like it's
What
it's
are
pretty
the
much
six
the same.
different-
And then for some users, that product, for a lot of users, probably that product might work better. But for some users, actually, also our product works better.
Okay. What are the 6 main use cases? Actually, you say there's only 6 use cases for AI. Can you name them?
It's just an estimation.
Okay,
I think like something like prompt evaluation, search, and like image generation, or probably there are more, but
okay. But
just
basically, everybody is doing kind of the same thing. They're trying to use different names, but it's the same technology behind the hood.
yeah. So it was really crazy with this deep research thing. Like I think Google started with this. They didn't get so much reputation for this for some reason, or the community didn't really realize. Then OpenAI and Perplexity and
Interesting.
and I think it's not like they copied each other. It's just a logical next step.
Yeah. Okay.
Like everyone knew, okay, you have these reasoning models, now do reasoning for search.
Okay. Could you maybe share some examples of how you said, like, I mean, obviously you're an open source company, so a lot of your users you don't know, but you have some commercial customers. Can you give examples of what kind of companies use your solutions and for which kind of use case, like very practical, and how it changed the way they do business, basically, just to give an idea, more concrete.
Yeah. So for instance, search engine for e-commerce. That's something. If you can boost the relevance of the search results just by a bit, it can mean a lot of revenue. And
but then basically you're using search technology to be able to come up better in the results of the search engine, or
yeah, if a user types for something, so let's take again this back as example,
okay,
then it's
inside your
more
shop.
likely that it's a bit upper and on the first page, and that the user actually finds what they want and buy it there. So these kind of things. Then something totally different, also fact checking, what you might not expect directly, because what does it have to do with search? But then it's actually you insert a fact, and then it's decomposed, I claim, not a fact necessarily, we don't know yet, and then it decomposes into all these atomic assumptions or statements and something in multiple agents searching on the internet, and then it's composed again, and finally it finds out if a fact is likely true or not, but then also gives references to the websites. As you can also say, like blacklist certain website or whitelist. So this is also a use case. The search is in a lot of things. Yeah, even like within companies, like every mid-size company, they have so much internal knowledge, and that needs to be searched for.
So that's an interesting part. So basically, because search also affects how you handle internal knowledge, you think this new evolution in the search technology can potentially also change the way companies document things internally? Because I guess if you have an agent that uses a poor search engine to give you the answer, can you have kind of the same logic to actually even come up with the missing documentation? What are people looking for, or what is the piece of information which is missing? Or can you create documentation using similar concepts?
Yeah, so you can make, or a lot of people say it's easy to put something into the internal wiki, but it's hard to get something out at the very moment you need it, right?
Yeah.
And then this would be possible, or easier accessible. It almost doesn't matter anymore what format you insert some information. Just you have to write it down, or meetings are automatically recorded and it's dumped, and then agents just make their way through the data. And
it's like an army of interns that just go and look, and whenever data was not accessible, you need to ask 20 people. You just have some agents that go and do it for you, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's this I can see how it can change a lot of companies or the way company work internally, because I think there's a lot of time which is spent on making sure documentation is properly done. But if eventually there's a risk that if you say if documentation, the way you document doesn't matter anymore because the agent is going to find it, there's a risk that there's an escalation of content that gets created, and you have I guess eventually you still have to sort a bit what you keep into your internal wiki, or you can't just let everybody write everything.
Yeah, so right now we don't have this like this cool system. It's just speculation from my side.
Okay.
That it's really like you just can just dump anything, I think, yeah.
And do you already have some people using your agentic search on internal for internal knowledge? Or not yet?
And not for internal knowledge, only for public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I think one thing that I've read when I looked at your website back then and again recently is that you specialize in multimodal search across text, images, and audio and video. So you said there's this thing which is basically there is a difference between an image, like the modal gap was one of the technical difficulty. I was wondering because I see, like, I don't often see video being something that I can put into one of the commercial AI model that we are able to use. Are you able to consume video with your model? Is it possible to do search against a video with either with your model or with some AI technology out there?
Yeah, it's planned for a next version, but right now, no. No, now we focus more on PDFs because we think that's a very huge use case. And once we have this, then we can also focus more on internal data. Everything internally can be.
It's a PDF. Yeah,
Yeah,
it can become a PDF.
Can we also convert it to PDF? And this is actually very difficult because in a PDF, you have all these table layouts, and then you have maybe a graph, a dot, and then some text around like banded, or like, people come up with so many different designs. It's not even possible to parse as text or with traditional methods. So the next embedding model, it's image and text model. So it's combined. And this actually takes the PDF as image and reads this as image, and then makes the text searchable. Yeah, I think this is in general more powerful because it can also see formatting and so on. And so once you convert something to text, it loses a lot of its meaning.
Yeah. Is it similar to what Anthropic is doing in their, like, they have this PDF?
I don't know. Yeah.
They have their PDF. If you can put a PDF and it's able to find, also understand the images inside the PDF. That's basically kind of what you are trying to what you are building.
Yeah, it's not only the images in the PDF. It's basically even reading the text as image.
Okay.
So they get a photo of the text, and it still has all the formatting and where is the text and so on. So it's easier for the model then to understand the meaning of.
Actually, out of curiosity, how come that a large language model can read an image? Because it's not language.
Yeah, they are called vision language models.
Okay.
Yeah. And I talked about text tokens before, but there's also image tokens, and video tokens, and audio tokens. Yeah.
Okay, and the video is not just the text on one side and the video on the other side and just some frames taken. There's the ability of consuming a video which is different from just splitting the text from the audio.
Yeah, there are a lot of different ways to do this.
Okay, maybe a few parting shots before we start some Q&A. What's the favorite AI tools that you use that I would know about? So like some commercial available, Claude, ChatGPT, like what are the AI tools that you use outside of the terminal?
Okay, just for my daily work.
For your daily work,
yeah. Yeah, ChatGPT, Gemini, and then depending if it's a reasoning task, I would rather use ChatGPT, and then when it's a knowledge task, I use Gemini with grounding, because then they are performing best in this case.
Okay. What about Anthropic? You don't use them, Claude?
Hmm?
You don't use Claude at all?
No, also for coding, I use GPT o3 Mini High.
Okay. What's the AI tool? Sorry, no, what's your favorite model? If there's only one model you could use.
Yeah, that would be the o3
O3 Mini
Mini
High?
High.
Okay.
It would be o3 High, probably, but I only have access to the Mini.
Okay.
I mean, I could pay 200 euros a month, maybe,
That's
but
a bit cheap.
I saw it's not so much better, so it's fine.
Okay. And if I told your company can only use one AI model, would that be the same choice, or like if you had to run Jina only with one model?
Yeah, I use it the most. So yeah.
Okay, interesting. Then finally, what's the one thing that you've recently seen emerge? Like, because you said you read a lot of AI research. Is there one thing that you think I think people which are not necessarily computer scientists should pay more attention to this topic, because this potentially will change things in the future, or this is maybe the one AI evolution that people should get educated about?
Yeah, I don't think there is something. We always try to look for like only the most important thing, and then spend a lot of time finding like the best programming language to learn before even starting to learn, or what is the best fighting sport before even starting with that fighting sport or something. And I think it's good to just try hands-on to solve real problems, and then see what you can use for this.
Okay.
And then don't get too much distracted by LinkedIn posts or presenters, like also me. Like search is also not the most important thing, I think. So then there's maybe in your domain something much more important, and you can try to solve it, and then see what can be actually useful to solve this specific problem.
Okay, thanks a lot, Florian.
Yeah.
Do we have any question from the audience? Yeah, I'm gonna just bring the mic and you can ask them.
Thank you very much. So I have one more search specific question maybe, but I mean, you talked a lot about these changes in the paradigm of search from those keyword-based and now semantic search maybe, and also we have this paradigm that people use LLM chatbots as search. I mean, they just ask their question instead of searching. So how do you see these changes from user interaction point of view? I mean, when a user nowadays see a search bar, still expect to put a keyword, or what kind, or ask the question, or this kind of thing. I mean, from UI and user interaction. I mean, it's also will affect the designs in future in new products. How to see that? I mean, if you have any insights or.
Yeah. So over years, we got always told it's super important to deliver the answer very fast. And it was also reasonable, because you could see on a website when search response is too slow. And this is even in regions of like maybe 500 milliseconds or so, then users just navigates back. It's not patient enough to wait like half a second. And this is now very counterintuitive, that now the best models that are shown us and everyone's clapping for, it actually takes like 2 minutes to answer. And then people should be happy with that, huh? And I don't think everyone will be happy with that. So, if it's outstanding much more quality, and then it's a different thing. But most likely in your first query you wrote, you very much underspecified what you're actually looking for. And then even the best agent cannot find the right thing for you. So I don't think the interface will stay like this, that you have this automagical, it's called automagical application. You just insert something and then wait. And it will also not be something like, oh, you get direct response and you're happy with the result. It will be something in between, where you can like look behind the shoulder of the agent somehow get the information presented, what it's currently searching for, and then you can already say, oh, wait, this was wrong. Yeah, I didn't want to do this type. Better, it must be very natural and must be bio and all of this. And then the agent say, no, I understood you. And then, no, you still didn't understand me. And it's a very very interactive way of searching. So like and will be faster. You don't search for half an hour then, because you have this assistant searching with you together. That's my guess. Yeah.
I can have a quick follow-up on that. Do you see that the search bar in the web application on application will still remain there, or it would be always a chat bubble replaced? I mean, right now we have in some application the search bar on top and the chat interface. But do you see that the search bar would remain there, or will be replaced?
I think text input is still very good in the future, because you don't want to just talk to it when you're here. You're searching for something during the talk or so. Then you don't want to speak out loud like, hey, no, you misunderstood me or something. So it's still search bar, I think, where users like to writing text. I see no problems with this interface.
Question? Yes.
Yeah, hi. Maybe a follow-up to that question. Maybe more from the fact-checking side of things, because you mentioned that like that's important. What would be or what do you think is a good interface to expose good search results to a user?
Yeah, so I don't know, but I can just say which I tried out and didn't really work. So we tried out to make this 3D environment where here's your search result, your first search results, and from here you can navigate in the latent space. Basically, see the world from the perspective of the embedding model, and then navigate to semantically similar things. That's extremely confusing. Yeah, but I don't see for now. I don't see you doing. But we have also some search experts here, so maybe you can approach this guy later. Maybe he has some ideas.
Any other question? Yeah.
Hi, thanks for the answers already. So you mentioned that the intersection between text and image is usually hard for an AI to tackle. So how would you imagine you want to search a image database, yeah, and you have text as input? How would you best approach this?
Yeah, so maybe I was a bit like overdoing before. It's not like infeasible. It's actually working quite well. So and when you use these clip models nowadays, they perform very well on this task. But then just when calculating the distances and when you go to very granular level, then you see this gap exists. So it's more scientific point of view, and influences the overall search performance, but doesn't ruin it completely. So it's okay. It's working with this model. So it's one model, but it has two encoders, so-called encoders, where one side you can put in a text, and then it first makes sure the text is transformed into some matrix and has at some point the same format like the other encoder that takes the images input and also transforms it. And then at the end, as the final layers, both are somehow trained together, and the information is flowing from one side to another side. And then this is some way also to mitigate this this multimodal gap. A different approach would be having just one model for text encoding into vector and another model for image. And then this gap is even wider because they don't even share some layers in the processing.
So when you say that a model is, if you talk about a model and you say it's multimodal, it's basically it's the same model, but it has different encoder for different input type, and then it's assessing the same, like eventually it's comparing the same vectors, but used like that comes from different encoders.
Yeah, so also this word multimodal, it's come from modality and not from model. So yeah, and then it's just
So that you have several models together. It's
Yeah,
like
no,
you have one model that has multiple
But, yeah, but research started with a CLIP model developed by OpenAI, where it was really two separate models. And now research found out it's better to combine it into one.
It's all about the encoder.
Hmm?
It's all about the encoder.
And then just having different encoders.
Okay. Okay. Do you have a last question before? Oh, we have two last questions. Okay. Ladies first.
Thank you. So if agentic search works by essentially searching normal search engines for us, then how does the AI agent know what is considered a good answer?
Mm-hmm. So an agent could also just search multiple times with the same search engine, but then makes multiple requests. But yeah, it could also try multiple search, and it might find out contradicting information. That's what you mean, right? In the search results, and then it doesn't fit together. That source says like this, and that source says like this, and this should be reflected in the answer. So then with fact checking, we have this, of course. We have sometimes like 50% report this, 50% report this from 100 different sources. And the user have to live with this because it's like just reflecting reality. We will not make a decision then or a coin flip or something.
Did it answer the question? Yeah.
Thank you. So my question is about your experience with obstacles. So from an organizational or business perspective, what you see with your clients, what would be the biggest obstacles in adopting AI for search?
Yeah, so I think almost every project somehow failed or is like sunset at some point. But I think there's a better word for it. It's called pivoting. And you just try to find a market fit as a startup.
If you're VC funding, that's how you call it, yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, that's what we're doing, like pivoting for 4.5 or 5 years. But or what makes different for them? How to adopt search, okay. Yeah, they sometimes even simple things like we made this great plugin for Elasticsearch, and then they have a different Elasticsearch version, and then it's like a deal breaker. It's like, no way, they don't want to update it because of, yeah, there are reasons they want to have it stable. It worked like this, they don't want to take a risk or something. And with organizational, it's a lot of bouncing forth and back. So sometimes we're very happy. Oh, we got contact to C-level. We have a meeting with them, and then we get forward to expert. But then this expert has not so much like power within this company. So the project is also running a bit stale or is on vacation or something. And then we try to go, or we push something, bounce back to the C-level, and it's like this force and back. And it's sometimes difficult, I think, to close the deals from organizational perspective. They also compare with other models, have their internal benchmarks. I think it's also very hard to benchmark search. And then it's also a bit luck, like whatever their benchmark spits out, either it's favoring us or not. So we also try to go over to asking at the beginning, what's the most relevant search queries for you? What is like most relevant you want to have the system have good performance? Then we can build something that better fits their needs. But yeah, at the end, we're also not a consulting company. So we're just building a product. So we cannot do much customization. Yeah. But yeah, it's not easy.
All right. I think we are out on time. Thanks a lot, Florian, for being with us tonight. I personally learned a lot. There's a lot of things I didn't understand, but you helped me get there somehow. Thanks a lot. Thanks again for K.I.E.Z for hosting us. And I think we have a couple of pizzas and beers to finish the evening and discuss a bit more about tokens, encoders, and search results.
Thank you.